Hey everybody, Aaron Blaze here, and it is Friday, September 16th, and we are back on for another live stream today.
Woohoo!
I'm away from the computer. This coming next week, Vedanta and I, my wife and I, are heading out to Wyoming, and I'm going to be teaching for 5 days. I'm going to be teaching charcoal and watercolor and traditional, obviously. And I thought it'd be fun today to sit down and do some charcoal drawing and kind of talk about what we might be doing while we're out there.
Yeah, so that's going to be for the Susan K. Black Foundation, that workshop. Dustin, if you want to throw that slide up, you can learn more at SKB Workshop.
Oh, SKB.
SKBworkshop.com. Spots, it's probably late for people to join in person, but they are going to do a Zoom.
They are still they're doing Zoom. You can still join in. I know there's still spots available. Me personally, what I'm going to be doing is for a couple of days, I'm going to be teaching traditional charcoal drawing, wildlife, animal art, and then we're going to also be doing watercolor. Along with, in the evening, on Tuesday evening, I'm going to be doing a 2-hour lecture on my career, animation, and all of that fun stuff. So I think that's going to be Zoomed as well. So it's worth checking out. So check it out. Check it out. And yeah, I'm okay. And also, we've got a special day today. Well, actually, we got some sales going on. Let's go over the sales.
Sure, absolutely. So we got a couple things. First of all, our back to school sale is still going over at Creature Art Teacher. Everything is 40% off or more for everybody. And we're running this sort of customer appreciation promo code for the last week or so, and it's been really popular, so we've decided to extend it a few extra days. If you go to creatureartteacher.com between now and September 19th and use promo code 5-SAVE, you can get any course, class, brush set, or photo pack for just $5. And so that's a huge savings, and that's a limited number of times you can use that code. So head on over and use it now.
That's such a steal, man.
Also, we got a special day today. It's September 16th, which happens to be the day my son was born 32 years ago. 32 years ago today, a little bouncy, dislocated shoulder baby boy came out of the womb.
With two black eyes.
2 black eyes.
I always
9
say I had to
pounds.
fight with Mike Tyson in there.
But yeah, today's Dustin's birthday. So happy birthday to Dustin.
Happy birthday
To me.
So today, since we're going to Wyoming, I thought I'd do some Wyoming wildlife. And so what went through and pulled out some of Dustin's photography. And I got this really nice shot of this bison. Bison.
Bison.
Do your joke, Dustin.
And what did the buffalo say to the calf? Bye, son.
There you go. All right, so I heard a groan. I heard the groan through the interwebs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this. I'm just going to tape it up here. Right
You
up
can
here.
do so many variations on that.
Oh, I know.
Like, what did the father say to his? Never mind.
You're losing it.
I was going to be a stock market joke. It's going to be bye, son.
Oh, bye. Actually, I'm going to hold on to it for now. I was going to tape
You
it
get a
up.
bunch of birthday wishes, Dustin, online.
Oh, thank
All
you,
over
thank
the
you, thank you.
channels.
And
So-
everyone that's watching that on Facebook that posted happy birthdays on my timeline, thank you so much.
So what I do, my process is first of all, I love to draw big. And that's what we're doing today.
How
We're
big
going
is that?
to, what is this? This is 40 inches maybe?
It's big.
40 inches by however long we want to make it.
Let's go for the simplest answer. How big is it? It's big.
Yeah, the hardest thing at this stage is making sure I'm getting proportions right. So I'll go really rough just to make sure I'm getting everything correct.
Are you going to go for the whole body, or are you just going to do half, or?
Right now I think I'm going to get it down to his legs down in here, like so. Can you see it? Yeah.
Oh yeah, you can see it.
And proportion
Yeah,
wise,
it's just that the quarter of the board on the left hand is just ever so slightly blown out. So, but everything else is fine. You can see everything. I can see everything from up here.
Look at that, all the way over. Boom. I love drawing big like this. But this is my process. This, whether I'm drawing big like this or I'm drawing, on a smaller board or whatever, I always start very rough with soft charcoal, like I'm using here. I'm just using this big branch. Basically, it's a big stick of charcoal.
Do you ever grid your drawings?
Sometimes I do. Lately, I've been trying literally, I don't know why I use the word literally. I've been trying very hard to not do that, just to force myself to see proportion and just take the time to do it. But gridding is a perfectly viable way of doing it, and I especially recommend it when you're drawing huge like this, because it's so hard to follow, to make sure your proportions are working right.
Any update on the 1000 art collaboration? I'm really excited to see what you're going to put on there.
Yes, it is actually, we've actually done it. And Dustin is busy editing the video.
And
Matter of fact, the painting is right there.
But we're not going to show it to you.
But you can't see it yet.
Yep. We're done with our section, or Aaron's done with his section, rather, I should say. And we are in the process of coordinating with the next artist. So there's just a little scheduling snafu we're trying to work out, the person we're trying to get. And if not, we've got some other great people lined up as well. So we talked to old 1000, and they said that there's actually no deadline. So
yeah, you people get impatient. You gotta learn a little bit of patience there.
Yeah.
Hey, we have things we got to do.
In the meantime, I have the fun task of trying to cut down over 2.5 hours worth of video down into an entertaining 20 to 30 minute long video.
Yes.
what shark species is the most deadly, Aaron?
Probably bull sharks. Tiger sharks are up there.
I mean, is that just because they have the most overlapping territory with humans, the bull sharks?
No, bull sharks are literally much more aggressive.
Okay.
Yeah, bull sharks are very aggressive sharks.
Cora on Facebook said, "Thank you guys for coming up with that $5 pick what you want sale. It's a clever idea, and I was finally able to get that painting in the field course, which I've been eyeing since it came out. It's a little Ronnie Williford's course."
Oh, right on. Just wanted to see how that's. See, I have the way of cheating. I'm not looking right at the camera. I'm looking at the viewfinder, and I can see the image miniaturized. And when I see it miniaturized, it tells me if I'm drawing it to the right proportion or not.
Speaking of you and Ronnie Williford,
Yeah. So November.
we actually have, in case you haven't seen our earlier live streams on this, we've actually got a 4-day camping workshop with Ronnie and Aaron. It's November 7th through 11th. It's going to be 4 days of painting and cabin camping here in Florida. We're over half sold out for this, and spots are limited and going fast. So check it out. Go to preacherartteacher.com/camp for more details.
Yeah, it's going to be a blast. A blast.
And that's a heck of a beard you have in that old photo for the slide.
For which one?
For the workshop slides.
It's one of the photo. It's a photo Glenn Dewitt shot of you.
Oh yeah, when I was sitting on my porch when I was living on the beach there.
Yeah, and you had the full beard.
Yeah.
Leandro asks on YouTube, "What are you going to do with this humongous piece of art? Frame it, fix it? How do you conserve it properly?"
Burn it. I'm not sure. Well,
Actually,
a lot of times stuff like this is just a kind of an exercise. This isn't the greatest paper, so I mean it'll last if we preserve it the right way. But I mean it's not the best paper.
It's not designed to last forever.
Yeah, this is more of just an exercise to show you guys, what drawing big is like. But we'll keep it. We'll hold on to it. I've got the big wolf drawing that I did We might auction these off. Who knows?
Might go in that video I mentioned to do with Ronnie, speaking of.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, Ronnie's got a new video out that Nick put up on our site, plus it's on his site, on Ronnie's site. And he talks about ego, checking your ego at the door and being able to kind of take criticism and critique. It's a really good, timely, I think, video for artists nowadays.
Zanji says, I'll be there.
Yeah, Zounji, we saw that you got a ticket. We're really excited about it.
Nick?
Stay out of my territory! Sorry, I just had the tab open. Julia says, hello, I'm so happy to be here. I missed your members live stream and have a wonderful time in Wyoming next week.
Thank you.
Hello.
So you can see I've gone and sketched this really quickly. Now the next part of this, is, you might go, whoa, that's kind of crazy. I'm hoping it sticks. Let's see. What I do is I rub it down a little bit. And it starts to tone the paper. And I'm going to try to get it in the same sweeping.
Sienna on Facebook asks, do you ever use the envelope method for large layouts?
I don't know what the envelope method is. What's the envelope method? Tell me what it is. Tell me. You tell me right now.
I don't know. I'm not getting a reply yet. Takes a minute. And Castro asks, who is the most influential Disney animator ever?
Oh, there's been a lot of them. I mean, the Nine Old Men collectively are the most influential, and that's probably the best. The best draftsman out of all of them was Milt Kahl, but you know Frank Thomas, Ollie Johnston, they had some real charm to their work. There's a lot of great animators.
Charming.
So now what I'm doing is I'm taking another charcoal pencil. It's an HB hard, so when I put it down, it doesn't rub off. See, and now that I've kind of got the rough layout in here, I can come in and quickly draw. I want to keep this whole thing really loose. I want to see what we can do with this just by drawing loose and just see what I can get done in an hour or two. Well, I just broke that lead. Not the lead, but broke the...
This is just a roll of, like...
This is painter's paper. I got this.
Paper that
I got this from Lowe's. It's painter's paper that they sell for like $6 a roll.
We used to use it when I was a kid in Maryland. We would put it on our picnic table and we would have blue crabs. And then at the end, you would just roll it all up.
Yep.
Hey, Aaron. This is from Lost Stegosaurus on Twitch. Do you consider color more difficult than drawing? Thank you for everything you've taught me.
Yeah, I do think color is more difficult because with color, you really just have to think about value, contour, line, all of that, light and dark. With color, you think about all of that, plus the idea of temperature, chroma, all those different things that are part of, thinking about color. So I do think it's more difficult, yes.
And Ace Creates on YouTube asked, first he says, happy birthday, Dustin.
Oh, thank you.
And hi, Aaron. And he says, I just got tickets to CTN. Anything to expect for the event or any advice?
Bring a portfolio because there's a lot of artists there, a lot of people in the industry that are there hanging out and have fun. It's a really fun event. We're going to be there, and we've got a few surprises that we're working on. But I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a great event. And, yeah, just, bring your work. Be prepared to show it. Be prepared to be critiqued. Check your ego out the door. All that kind of stuff.
It's going to be fantastic.
And it's Gabriel or Gabrielle, I'm not sure. How do you deal with charcoal that rubs on your palm? Do you use a wash rag or something else?
No, I just wash my hands afterwards with soap and water.
I think they mean like while you're painting, do you have to clean your palms as you're going so you don't smear your...
No, not really, because I'll use a maul stick too, which I had right here yesterday. Where'd it go?
Is it on the animation desk?
Oh, it is, yeah. So I've got this, and I'll be using this in a little bit.
It's a Darth Maul stick.
Yeah, the Darth Maul stick. The Darth Maul stick. This is, put a little padding on it, and I just put it up here like this, and I can beep, 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 and draw and not touch it. But right now, I'm not too worried about that.
What is the most important exercise you think young artists neglect these days?
I think drawing from life, drawing with traditional mediums. I think digital has become so big that they neglect getting out and drawing from life. I think they get influenced by a lot of other artists rather than getting out and creating their own style. I think there's a lot of emulating of other styles, and I think and one of the biggest questions I get is how did you create your style? Well, I created my style through. It's just your style emerges, but it emerges through working from life, trying different things. That's another thing. Try a lot of different mediums. Experiment. Get your hands dirty. Especially as a young artist, you've got your whole life ahead of you, and so I really recommend trying a lot of different things. I think a lot of young artists get comfortable in one thing and don't want to step out of their comfort zone.
Letizia asks, do you remember your first drawing and how old were you?
No, I don't remember my first drawing. I started drawing when I was about 9 months old, and so I don't really remember. But my mother always told me that I was drawing, people, recognizable faces, and things like that. In my high chair at 9 months. But whether that's true or not, I don't know. My mother tended to make up stories.
Edward asks, what do you think of the incredible progress that AIs are having in the art world?
It is what it is. It's another tool. I mean, it's not going to stop me from doing art, and it shouldn't stop anybody else from doing art. Will it take away some work from others? I think maybe at some point.
I think it's probably going to hurt younger artists more than established artists. That's probably my concern about it.
Yeah.
At this point.
But it should never stop you from, creating music. There's a lot of AI, writing aids now. There's AI music aids, but they're not going to replace musicians. They're not going to replace writers. But it is going to have an impact in some way or another. I'm not sure how, but.
Dan asks, was the beast inspired by a bison?
Yes, partly. I mean, there's other animals in there as well. Wild boar and wolf, all kinds of stuff.
Gabby's here, says good morning and wishes me a happy birthday. Thank you.
Who's that?
Gabby.
Gabby, wow, Gabby. Wow, she's been back on lately. I like having you here, Gabby.
YouTube comment from Pina Boy Tunes says, I've been on this earth for 30 years, and believe it or not, I just saw Beauty and the Beast for the first time. Absolute masterpiece. Is there anything you would do different a second time around? And I loved seeing your name in the credits, by the way. It felt like seeing my professor's name up there.
Yeah, I would have. I didn't direct it, obviously. There's animation things that I may have done differently. I wish they would have. I don't think it was cleaned up very well. That's my personal opinion. I think the cleanup could have been a little bit more consistent. I think the characters varied a little bit, but I think that's just picky, someone in the industry pickiness. Sorry about the sound.
Yeah, I think that not cleaning up all the way like that gives that animation texture, I guess you could say.
Because what?
I actually like it when it's not as cleaned up. It gives it texture.
Oh, it's not. I like it not as cleaned up too. Like 101 Dalmatians on that. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about inconsistency in the way the characters looked. Like there's about 5 different bells. There's about 3 different beasts.
Marie on Twitch.
Really?
Marie on Twitch says, drawing at 9 months old, I bet a wall was involved at some point.
I don't know what that means.
Like you drew on
Like
the wall.
drew on
Oh no! You know what? I never drew on the wall. You know where I drew is he'd go underneath our dining room table, and I drew under the table. That's where I drew. That whole table was just covered in drawings underneath because I knew I would get in trouble if I drew on the wall, but nobody could see underneath the table.
Castro asked an interesting question. Which Muppet and or Sesame Street character are your favorites?
Big Bird,
Big Bird?
Bert and Ernie, and Grover.
Bert and Ernie.
The old school guys. John. I love John. I think John's about 40 years old now, though. Remember John? He would count with Grover or the other monster guy.
Oh man, I haven't seen them up. I haven't seen the Muppet characters in forever.
This is Sesame Street.
Oh, Sesame Street.
Sesame Street came out the year after I was born.
Wow. And Martin Berger asked,
Hey, Martin.
"Do you remember this day 32 years ago? Were you proud?"
I do remember this day very, very vividly, actually. Dustin came out screaming because he was so big, and his mother, Karen, she did it all natural. There was no epidural or anything like that. We were at a birthing center. Dustin was actually born in the same bed as his sister. We went to the same place that we did with his sister, and he was a difficult birth. His sister took about 36 hours. Both of them were hard. And then Dustin took about 32 hours. And but he was bigger than his sister when he came out. And poor guy, he came out with a dislocated shoulder and 2 black eyes. And remember them having to put that shoulder back in when he came out. And boy, did he scream. But he settled down, and I put him on my chest, and we all fell asleep. Slept. He was born at about 4 in the morning. And we slept and went home at about 8 o'clock the next morning.
Someone says, the same person that asked that question on Twitch says, "Great, now I'm going to check under my table."
It's a perfect surface to draw.
Yeah. What's your favorite animated movie of the quote unquote old school?
Bambi. I always talk about Bambi. Yeah, I love the naturalism of it. The leaps for obviously I love animal animation.
Yeah.
And the leap forward that they made from, Pinocchio and Snow White to Bambi is huge.
What was it? Was it Snow White?
It's much more sophisticated.
That I always watched when I was little.
What's that?
Which one was it that I always watched when I was little? Snow White, was it?
I don't think it was Snow White. I don't remember you watching Snow White a lot.
I remember watching that quite a few times back then. Along with also like Peter Pan and Bambi. And
Yeah.
a lot of them classics.
See how that's coming out. There we go. I can see that. Now I'm going to do a little experiment today, something I haven't done before. I just thought it might work, so I'm going to try it out. And it's a way that I apply the charcoal powder, because that's going to be the next step, is applying the charcoal powder, getting our darker colors here.
Why are Beauty and the Beast, Lion King, and Brother Bear your favorite films you worked on at Disney?
Why aren't they?
Why are they?
Because they hold great memories. They were difficult. They were satisfying. It's just they were a lot of fun to create. Good friends.
Good music too.
There we go. This is kind of fun.
Gabby says, by the way, how is Marshall? I miss him and think about him often, and I hope he's the best he can be.
He's a cranky old bastard.
He says, I even got a yeehaw hat.
No, he's fine. He's good. He's actually...
He's building me an awesome picnic table.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's right in the middle of building Nick a picnic table. So he's doing well. Yeah, I love drawing big and loose and just wow, just getting in there and going.
Have you watched the new Pinocchio remake?
Yeah, I saw that it got slammed by a lot of people and completely panned by reviewers, but I didn't think it was bad. I didn't think it was bad at all.
What's that?
The new Pinocchio.
With Tom Hanks?
I haven't watched it yet. It looked good to me.
Yeah. I'd yet to see it too.
I mean, they've added some stuff in there that didn't need to be added, just to draw out the.
Assuming they gave Tom Hanks more to do.
No, they didn't really. Not. It wasn't that much. It was more they added like sequences with Pinocchio. Like, they added an extra school sequence that wasn't in the original. And
What are your thoughts on Brother Bear 2 and were you consulted on it?
we were consulted early while we were still making Brother Bear. They wanted to know what the story was in the world, but we never had anything to do with it after that. And to be honest with you, I've never seen it. I've never watched it.
Gabby's mentioned about Marshall saying, "Hey, wait a minute, hang on. I'm always blown away by the things Marshall makes, but I have to ask, if his vision is bad, how does he do what he does? Is he a wizard?"
Yes, he's a wizard. Yeah, he just feels. He can kind of see his measuring tape, and then the rest of the time he just feels, and he's very patient. Because a lot of things will take him, 30 minutes when it should only take 10 minutes because he can't see, so he has to take his time. But he figures it out.
He's a carpenter wizard.
Hey Aaron, what do you think is the percentage of animal artists among artists? Is it the community big?
Yeah, it's a big community. I don't know what the percentage is with other artists, but it's a big community. It's a whole genre. It's a huge genre. So there we go with that. So now what I want to do is I want to try something. I don't know if it's going to work. It might be a total bust. I'm going to tape this up now. Tape this over here. Just so I can basically see where the roughs are. I've got this little dish here. And in my little dish, I've got charcoal powder. And here, I've got one of those little sponge brushes that you can get at Lowe's at the hardware store to do like corner trim and stuff and with paint. And I thought, you know what, this might be interesting to try.
Nathaniel on YouTube says, "Hey Aaron, I recently just discovered you, and I found out you're the artist behind Brother Bear and one of my favorite 2D animated films. I watched some of your videos on how you draw animals, and I took some of your lessons."
Ah, awesome. Well, I've discovered I don't like it. You can see how it runs. It runs right down the face of this. Let me try it again, see if it...
Thanks for tuning in, Nathaniel.
Yes,
We
absolutely.
do these streams every week, every Friday. And
yeah, I love it. And I'm glad...
it's always good to hear when we've got new viewers.
I love it. Yeah. And sorry, this thing took me by surprise. But Nathaniel, I'm super glad you discovered us. And like Nick said, we do this pretty much every week. I'm not going to be around next week, but there we go. But we will be back. So as a backup to this, what I'm doing here is I've got this paper towel. I'm just going to rub in here. Now, because I've already gone in there with the pencil, the harder HB charcoal pencil. It's the line is holding. I can see the line through all of this.
Castro asks, can I get close to a bison or elk or moose if I was in Yellowstone? No.
No. No. Sorry. No.
You
can, but no, you shouldn't.
you have to keep a safe keep a distance. I think it's 25
I think 25 or 30 yards from,
to 30
maybe
yards.
even 50 yards from bison. I think it might be 50 yards.
Yeah, there's been a lot of
think it's
incidences
50.
where people have
Yeah, I think it's 50.
yeah, but there's been a lot of times where people have ignored that law and have paid the consequence by getting charged at by the bison. It ain't pretty. So
Do you ever watch Andrew Tischler?
Yes, every once in a while. Yes. I love his art.
Yeah, it's freaking awesome. I actually hadn't seen him before. I just happened to look him up when I saw that comment. Gorgeous landscapes.
Yeah.
Nice portraits too.
Yeah, he's Australian. He's awesome.
I like this response from Leandro about the getting close. It says, you can get close to any animal you want, but sometimes only once.
How well does that charcoal dust stick to the paper? Can it easily be smeared by the hands?
Well, that's what I'm doing right now.
How well is it sticking?
It's you can see a lot of it will just fall off. But if you rub it in enough, it'll stick. I'm rubbing it basically into what I'm doing is rubbing it into the fibers of the paper.
Did you read that question from Gabby about Marshall?
Yeah.
About him being a wizard?
No. About how does he do it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he read that. Yeah, I was looking at that.
Yeah, that's that one. Another question from Gabby. If you could only draw one animal from life studies, which one would you pick?
Elephants.
Elephant?
Elephants. I love drawing elephants from life.
And O'Neill from Facebook asks, do your works have a subtle or general social or political message?
No.
Is there something you want to express with your art that is very important to you? Love your work.
Yeah,
Best
I just
regards
want people
from
to see the
Switzerland.
beauty of nature. But I'm
The
not trying to
beauty.
get any kind of message across other than, hey, bison are beautiful. Wolves are beautiful.
Stop shooting him, unless if it's with the camera.
Sometimes I'll put a little more effort into the social commentary, but not very often. A lot of times it's just trying to find a beautiful composition.
Letizia asks, what is your favorite technique in traditional art?
Right here, drawing and charcoal.
Charcoal drawing?
Yeah, I love getting messy with it and just getting in there and having fun with it.
Have you ever traveled to Central Asia? Our wildlife is beautiful here.
The closest I've been to Central Asia is on the west side. I've been to Kathmandu and Nepal. I guess is that considered central?
I would think so.
Or Mongolia is more. Is Mongolia more
it-
central?
I mean, India and Nepal, I would think, sort of central.
Yeah,
Or
but I've
maybe-
been to Nepal and camped and did safari and everything else in Nepal. I went out. We went out on elephant back every day and we tracked tigers and Indian rhinos and all kinds of cool stuff.
Do you use fixative?
Not usually. There's a video of me out right now where I am using fixative on the last drawing that I did on this because I had to roll it up. But I don't usually use fixative. I do for these big ones because I have to roll them up. But I don't like fixative because it distorts the color, the values.
Are you going to stream on TikTok again?
I think we're streaming on TikTok now. Or no, TikTok. Sorry. Yes, we will. But we're just not doing it today. You said TikTok, I was thinking Twitch. So I think I'm gonna, rather than have a dark background, I think I'm gonna go ahead and
How do I know if my anatomy
Do,
drawings are correct or not if I'm learning
erase the
by...
background here.
Oh, sorry. Didn't mean to.
Sorry, what was that?
How do I know if my anatomy drawings are correct or not if I'm learning by myself from the internet?
Get critiques from other people if you can. And that's where you need someone to that knows what it is that you're trying to do to kind of critique you and help you out.
Part of it'll just come with experience. You'll
does.
start
to see it. But I really recommend finding, if you can. If you can't, just keep doing it, and you'll start seeing it more and more.
Is there a movie you wish you could have animated on?
Probably Zootopia, or at least worked on. I'm not a 3D animator, but I definitely would have loved to have worked on Zootopia.
How would you display or frame a piece of this size? Is there a frugal way to do it?
Not really.
I mean, you could just mount it to board.
You could. I'm just hang it up. I've seen drawings done that way, but something like this, yeah. I mean, you could mount it to something and
Probably get a large piece of plexi. It's still going to be expensive.
yeah. There's no frugal way of framing.
Framing is one of those things that's surprisingly expensive.
Yeah.
Really?
And people are always put out when they realize how much it costs.
Yeah.
But it is.
Is Hercules hand drawn?
Yes.
That was still on paper, right?
Yep. Yes, it was.
My own question. What was the most expensive framing you had to invest into?
Me? Probably $1,200.
$1,200?
Yeah. I've done $1,200 frames.
What kind of size was it?
It was not huge. It wasn't as big as this, but it was just a nice frame.
I mean, that lion oil painting out there, that was
That's
five.
That's an $800
That was
frame.
800, yeah.
Wow. Meanwhile, the frames that I put my photos in are like $40-$50.
Yeah. I mean, that's why, for one thing, I try to more often paint standard sizes, because a standard size frame is going to be cheaper.
Yeah.
Yeah, for those people that didn't do that or didn't hear that, that's a good thing to consider when you're on a budget is work at a standard size canvas, because
You can
it'll
go to
fit a
the
standard
store and
size frame.
let's say it's 18 by 24 or 16 by 20 or 20 by 30. Those are all standard sizes. And you can find frames for that.
Ryan asks, when you sell a piece this size, are you expected to frame it or the customer?
It depends. I mean, I have every option. I can sell it unframed or I can sell it framed. So that's,
Yeah, you're not expected to frame it though. That's so.
No.
And if you did frame it,
it's basically, it comes down to whatever is being sold. Is it being sold framed or is it being sold not framed?
and if you sell art in a frame, you factor that into the cost.
Always.
They're buying that frame as well as the art.
Yeah, always.
Oh yeah, and this is a YouTube comment by Kane Feathermore, which is just a cool name. Frames at secondhand shops are often a good deal as well. That's definitely true. You can pick up sometimes. I've known artists that'll go buy production art that's got a nice frame on it, and they'll take the production art out and then put their original art in it. YouTube question: how long did you live in Burlington, Vermont, and do you ever get back there?
Yes, I get back there. I was born there. I lived there until I actually bounced around the area. I was only born in Burlington. Not really. I was born in Williston, outside of Burlington, and lived in Richmond and lived in Jonesville. Then I lived in Burlington, South Burlington, kind of lived Essex Junction. I lived all over the place. I went through my first 8 years of my life. And I moved away. My parents split up in 1973 when I was 5. And and so I stayed with my mother for a little while. Then my mother dumped me off with my dad for a while. And then she took off to Florida, and then I ended up moving to Florida in '76 when I was 8. And so I've been in Florida, pretty consistently, except for my stint when I lived in California for a little while. And I've been here since 1976. But I do go back to Vermont every couple of years. I still have family up there that I visit. And it's beautiful country.
I don't see any tigers in your photo reference packs. Do you plan on adding some?
If I ever see them in the wild, I will.
Yeah, we have yet to actually be in a position to shoot any photos of tigers. So Aaron's
I mean,
gone out to shoot them before many years ago, but you didn't have any luck. Right?
I've shot lots of tigers, but they're all been in domestic in situations or in rescue areas, and I don't want to use those as I want to use wild tigers. So yeah, when we were in Nepal tracking tigers, we came upon a lot of sign and tracks, scat and tree markings and all kinds of stuff, but we never got to see. We'd miss them by like 10 minutes or something. We had one group that was literally 5 minutes in front of us, and they saw the tiger, and then we missed it.
I remember watching on Netflix Tales by Light, in which a particular photographer went on a safari in a jeep in India, and the guide stopped the vehicle because they saw a tiger with caught prey in his mouth walking along the road.
Yeah.
And the guide said that of the 15, 20 years he's driven that down that trail, only like twice has he ever seen that kind of moment before.
That's cool. Yeah, the tiger encounter is pretty high up on my list of things I want to encounter.
Dan on YouTube asked, does that eraser ever get to the point that it's so full of charcoal that you can't use it anymore?
Yes, it just turns into gummy snot. It gets really gross. But it takes a while.
What's your favorite drawing that you've ever done, and when did you start charcoal drawing?
Oh, I don't know what my favorite drawing is. I've done tens of thousands of drawings, hundreds of thousands of drawings. I don't know. I started charcoal drawing in college. So 35, 36, 37 years ago.
Do you ever get to Alaska or Washington? And if so, when was the last time you went?
I used to go to Alaska. I was in Washington last year, but I used to go to Alaska every year through the 90s. It was always my dream to get to Alaska, and I finally went in '93. It was my first trip. I was 25 years old, and I went pretty much every year after that. And then my last trip was 2000. It was a research trip for Brother Bear, and I've never made it back. And I was just talking to Vedanta about this the other day. I really want to get back again.
Let's plan a trip.
Yeah, it's easy to get there.
Do you think it's good when your older drawings seem ugly to you, since it means you're improving? At what point does this cycle stop? And have you ever been disappointed by your drawings?
Of course, I've always been disappointed. I think any artist that's trying to improve is going to be disappointed with drawings. I've been disappointed with, what it is that I'm making or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I look back on old drawings and definitely see improvement. And so that's something you always want to look for. And, and the upside of that is comparing yourself to yourself. And that's something I like, in that question, is that's a big part of, becoming a better artist, is not looking at this is something I see younger artists doing, looking at other artists and getting down on themselves. You got to just really kind of look at yourself and improve upon, where you were yesterday, last week, a month ago, a year ago, and approach it that way.
Hey, Max.
Our old dog, he's got a little bit of a cough.
I don't think they can hear him because if you do hear a little coughing in the background, it's a 16-year-old dog, Max.
Yeah, he's all right though. We've got medicine, and the vet, we got him to the vet, and the vet has had a full rundown on him.
What's your favorite way to add white to a charcoal drawing? There are so many different kinds of white pencils and pens out there.
Yeah, I like General's white charcoal and white Conte.
I was gonna say I used to like Conte a lot.
Yeah, I've got some Conte I'm going to use today. But I love drawing with an eraser. You can see it on there. I don't know how well you can see it in the video, but maybe Dustin, you can come over here and man the video a little bit.
Zoom in or
Yeah, just come over and just zoom in so they can see what I'm doing. And then later on, I'll be adding some white to this. It's basically, I'm trying to get things back to this mid-tone of the paper. That's why I like working on toned paper, brown paper.
YouTube question: do you have any plans for any more live events?
Oh yeah, nothing on the books right now, but we are going to be doing something soon. We try to do 3 or 4, unless you're talking about the watercolor kind of stuff. We do online live events, if that's what you mean. And
We've got a live in-person one coming up, though.
yeah, the live in-person one is coming up in November, and those tickets are still on sale, although we're over half sold out. So if it's something you're interested in, you should jump on it. But we do internet live events about 3 or 4 times a year.
your head's in the way.
You can learn more about that in-person workshop at creatureartteacher.com/camp.
Just give them some details here and there. So they can see. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to lean into this. So the cool thing about the eraser is you're basically painting in the light with the eraser. I'm erasing away the charcoal and getting down to where the light is.
Twitch question: are you a fan of contemporary art? And if so, which artists do you like?
I'm not against contemporary art. I don't know enough about contemporary art nowadays to say who I like or dislike. I always loved Pollock and that kind of stuff. There's not a lot of contemporary art that I know a lot about. Certainly not against it. It's just not my wheelhouse because I'm into realism but I certainly appreciate the genre for sure.
Yeah, if they mean the genre, that's one thing. If they mean contemporary artists, there's a ton of artists that are working nowadays that you're a big fan of.
All right, so here comes some fun. I'm going to get some.
Do you have a favorite bison related memory?
Not really. I mean, I've drawn a lot of bison from life. And now I get to draw fur texture.
there any special thought process going in your mind when you're doing fur texture in charcoal?
Yes, what I'm trying to do right now is I'm trying to. Sorry, I was concentrating.
Oh,
And
absolutely, yeah.
I wasn't thinking
Oh,
about,
yeah.
but what I'm trying to do is I'm pulling the. I've got everything down to a certain tone right now, and so what I want to do is pull out all the tones that are lighter than what I've got in here now, and then the next part is going to be adding the darks.
Do you think you would have still ended up working for Disney if you had never moved to Florida?
No.
Because you wouldn't have ended up at Ringling, right?
Yeah, I ended up at Disney because I never had a burning desire to work for Disney. I just fell into it. So the fact that I ended up there was purely by me needing a job. So it would have been completely different circumstances. Um, but you know, you never know. I mean, I definitely, if I never lived in Florida, I don't know. I may have ended up becoming a musician. Who knows?
I could see that because
I
your
would've-
dad was a musician. And
Yeah, my father is a musician. I would have spent more time with him.
would you ever attempt to animate anything in this style?
I've thought about it. It wouldn't be anything of any length, that's for sure.
Be like just a quick cycle or something, right?
Yeah.
Or a take.
Yeah, I thought it could be kind of fun.
Are there any plans of future workshops in Europe?
Yes. There's no plans yet, but we definitely are going to.
Definitely gonna try to.
Yeah, we'll definitely want to get back to the castle. We did a workshop at Peckforton Castle, south of Manchester, in England, back in 2019, was it?
Yeah.
And that was hugely successful and a lot of fun. And we had a blast. The castle people enjoyed having us there, and so it was all around a good time. And so we're trying to work. We're going to try to work something out again in the future for sure.
Brooke Keithley on Facebook asks, did you always know that you wanted to be in animation, or did you bounce between career paths?
Well, I was saying earlier, let me get this here. I needed a job. I wanted to work for National Geographic, and as an illustrator, and that fell through. So I needed to kind of start thinking about a different career path, and so I just started talking to the school I was going to, which is Ringling College of Art and Design. Started talking to them about, you know, some job opportunities, and they let me know that Disney was going to be coming to interview. And I thought, wow, that sounds interesting, and so I put together a portfolio, and I got accepted in. And I really didn't know what I was going to do, other than, you know, maybe do some background painting or something like that. I didn't know anything about the art of animation. And but once I got there, I started getting trained by an animator by the name of Glenn Keane, who's a great animator. You know his work through The Little Mermaid and Tarzan and The Beast from Beauty and the Beast. And he trained me in animation, and it really inspired me in ways that I never expected. And so I just fell in love with the art of animation. But I've always held on to my drawing and painting roots. So, which is one of the things I love about what I do, is that I've continued to kind of just do it all. And I like that.
Have you ever done freelance work? And if so, what are your tips for people starting freelance art or animation?
I've done many years of freelance work, and you know, being consistent, hit your deadlines, be open to change, because you're always going to have notes. Don't undersell yourself.
I would advise you to be proactive with communication,
Yes.
because one thing that no client likes is feeling like they're being left in the dark.
Yeah.
And it's better. This is just a general rule that I used to teach my students all the time. Um, if you send an email to the client or whoever you're doing freelance for with updates, then they're responding to you rather than you responding to their questions. And it just
Yeah.
makes the whole relationship work better.
It does. I agree. 100%.
Have you ever worked with Tom Bancroft on any Disney animation?
Yes. Tom and I worked together for years and years. Yeah. We worked together on Mulan and Lion King and Pocahontas and Beauty and the Beast. He's one of the first guys I met at Disney. So I'm just kind of
Okay.
drawing loose right now.
You guys both started on the same day, didn't you?
We did. Yeah, we started on the same day. Yep. April 17th, 1989.
What charcoal sticks are you using? And for a couple of people that just hopped in and are wondering, what kind of paper is this?
This is just painter's paper. It's garbage paper, basically, that you can get at Home Depot. It's like $6 for like a 50-yard roll.
Yeah, typically this is used for when painters go into your house, they roll this onto the floor and tape it down so that they're not tracking paint through the
Yeah,
house.
if you go into a fish market, they're cleaning fish on this stuff.
Do you like
It
bread?
takes the charcoal really well. Anyway,
And
what?
speaking of charcoal, what kind of charcoal stick?
Oh
are you
yeah,
using?
the charcoal sticks. The charcoal sticks are they're Master's Touch, and I'm also using General's charcoal pencils. What are you gonna say, Nick?
Do you like bread?
The band? I think the band is awesome. Yeah.
Have you ever tried spraying acetone on your charcoal drawings? Joel Pitzler does that to great effect with his wildlife drawings.
Yeah, I have. It's not the effect that I'm looking for, and I don't like what acetone. You know, you
What
got
does it do?
it has to.
I
It gets it to run in certain ways and
Oh, interesting.
bleeds and gives it really cool effects. That's for sure.
Have you ever animated for another animation studio?
Yes. Other than Disney, yes. I've
Yeah, I
done
think
stuff for Blue Sky. Digital Domain. I was directing for Digital Domain. I've done stuff for Paramount. Yes.
You've done a bunch of character design for other studios like Cartoon
Yeah.
Saloon and all those ones you mentioned as well. And
Yeah.
do you know how to speak Spanish?
I don't. I wish I did. I pick up little bits everywhere I go, whether it's Spanish or Portuguese or Japanese or French or German or wherever we go. We always pick up a little bit and then I forget it.
I want to let people know that might have joined late that we're running a big sale over at Creature Art Teacher now through September 19th. If you use promo code 5SAVE, you can get any class, brush set, or photo back for just $5 on our website. So it's basically pick whatever you want for $5. And
Yeah, basically, yeah.
there's a limited number of uses to that code, so get over there and use it while you can. Limited number of uses per person, I should say.
So I've kind of gotten some nice texture in there. I'm not going to draw much beyond this. I'll be here for hours and days and everything else. But I think for what we're doing here, it's a decent size. Getting all this texture in here is definitely a chore too. Now I'm going to get into my softer pencils, my 4B pencils. I'm going to just get kind of loose with it. Start on the right side and work across. This is where I hit my darks. I'm going to start pulling out the maul stick.
It's showtime.
There we go.
First time chatter on Twitch says, "Nice buffalo, bro."
Thanks, brah.
What was the most unique or weirdest animal you've ever drawn from life? That's from Peter on Twitch.
Oh, wow. That's a good question. Civet, maybe? But what was that one that we drew at the San Diego Zoo that was they were walking that with the long tail and the faucet?
Yeah, it was a fossil.
Fossa, that's what it was.
Really long-tailed cat.
Fossa,
I mean, there's so many unique bird species out there too that are just
Yeah.
I've drawn a bunch of those.
Oh, yeah.
Kevin on Facebook asks, "Are you always using color reference?"
Am I always using color? Not always. I sometimes doing it out of my head, but today I'm definitely using color reference. Unless you mean, is my reference always in color?
Yeah.
No, not always. Matter of fact, sometimes I'll purposely make it black and white so I don't have to, so I can just see more directly what it is.
Did
What
you
I'm
ever
doing.
meet Frank Thomas or Ollie Johnson, and did they inspire you?
Yes, yes, and yes. I've met both of them several times, and they've always been inspiring.
But
Yeah.
they weren't really working at the studio when you were there.
Oh, no,
right?
no, they've been long retired, but they came to the studio.
Yeah, they came more for goodwill and
Yeah,
getting to say hi and all that stuff, right?
yeah,
It wasn't-
just for visits, see what we're doing.
Did they ever do demos or
No,
lectures?
they're kind of too old for that. I had lunch with Ollie right before Frank had already died, and this is pretty soon before Ollie, pretty soon, before Ollie passed away as well. It was a tough lunch, but we had a good time.
I know you've probably gotten this question a ton of times, but what, in your opinion, is the greatest animated movie ever made?
Oh boy. I don't. That one. I haven't had that. I haven't
Yeah,
had.
you've
that
gotten asked what your favorite is, but not necessarily what the greatest is.
I don't know what the greatest is. I mean, that's so speculative and based on opinion. Uh, you could say any number of movies are the best that of all time for any number of different reasons, for the precedent that they set, for the ground that they broke. A lot of them obviously being Disney. But yeah, I don't know. I have I think Snow White should be in there for being the first animated feature ever done. I mean, it's the first one that they actually did it.
Which of your characters that you've animated is your favorite?
Probably Nala of all my characters. I like I like a lot of my characters, but a lot of my characters are really secondary characters. But I still love them. And but Nala always had the attitude and the that I liked. But I like Raja and Yao and all those characters. They were all fun too. So I'm going to try to kind of do a.
Oh, did you hear about Disney's new film Wish? It will be a blend of CG and watercolor 2D animation.
Yes, I did see that. I don't know if it's actual watercolor or if it's Meant to look like watercolor or what?
Disney's saying there's hand drawn in it.
Oh, that's great. I hope so. Maybe that's why they've been talking, getting Mark and Eric doing the internships and stuff. There we go. Nothing like pulling out the traditional supplies every once in a while.
For beginners in animal drawing, which one is good to start?
Which
I think,
animal?
I mean, what animal is a good starting point?
Start with your cat, your house cat. Start with your dog, your pets. Start with them. Those are the best ones. You know them the best. You're the most familiar with them. And it's a nice little gateway into other animals.
Do you have any plans next year for the 20th anniversary of Brother Bear?
Not really.
We might be doing something at CTN, but that's not.
Yeah, I mean,
That's way early. We
it's
haven't
not
really.
really announced or anything, so.
That's not. Yeah, I mean that's a big might.
Yeah.
Not. No plans yet. At the very least, we'll probably do something here on YouTube or on the live streams.
Oh, I'm sure we will do that. Yeah, but nothing major. Ironically enough, or coincidentally, I guess is more like it. Snow Bear will be coming out right up just a little bit before the 20th anniversary. So at least I'll have another
We'll do a
picture.
screening of both of them. You'll have a short feature in front of your feature.
Yes.
Did you ever work with Mark Hen?
I worked with Mark Hen a lot. Mark Hen and I worked together for 15 years.
In fact, you guys were kind of like Tango and Cash,
Yeah, we were.
Siegfried and Roy, or I don't know, Peanut Butter and Jelly.
We worked together a lot.
So for those who don't know, the reason I say that is in Lion King, he did young Simba, you
Yeah.
did young Nala.
And I did Nala.
In Aladdin, he did Jasmine and you did Raja, as well as some of Jasmine, but that was his character, and Raja was your character. And then in Beauty and the Beast, you did the Beast and he did Belle, right?
Yep.
So you were paired up a lot, right? But he didn't. Did he do anything on Mulan?
He did Mulan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he animated Mulan.
So that's one of the ones where you weren't paired up. So I was just curious.
yeah.
I didn't know if he'd go.
We
back.
did. We did. I mean, we did shots together and whatnot, but not the same way that we had on the other movies.
I didn't realize he was Mulan. Someone says the answer for best animated film is obviously Rockadoodle.
The Troll in Central Park.
I forgot about that one.
Did you work on that 3D camera tracking in Beauty and the Beast?
No, that was James Baxter.
You did something for the 3D re-release, though, right?
No, there wasn't a 3D re-release. It was just a re-release with added footage.
Well, they re-released it in 3D, but that was probably just all post.
Oh, well then, yeah, that was just added. But that was all post.
But what did you do for when they released it with that?
They added a song. Well, there was a song that had been cut, and then they put it back in again.
But you had to go back in and do.
Yeah, so I did some stuff of Belle and Beast where he's trying to read, and he's trying to get her to read to him, And then she says, well, why don't you read to me? And we discover that he doesn't know how to read. So by the end of it, she's teaching him how to read.
Who animated Belle's horse?
Philippe, that was, um, what's his name? Forgot his name. Sorry. Forgot his name. It's coming along.
Getting there.
Will there be a business for artists course in the future? Making money with art is one of the biggest challenges.
Yes.
We're definitely going to do that.
Actually, Ronnie has some opinions on that. We might, Ronnie Williford is somebody that's been talking.
Well, yeah,
about.
that's actually one of the things. Even when I
So yeah, so
when
he's
I
been
used to-
talking about putting something together for a while.
Well, there's whole different sides. Art is not any one business. So, like the way you approach business of being a gallery painter is different from running a graphic design studio. Is different from running an animation studio. There's all kinds of. It's actually a pretty broad.
Yeah, but there's things
Subject.
that overlap everything that I think we can get into a single course.
No, I agree. What I'm getting at is it's actually a very broad topic. So I would want to have all of those sorts of different topics in it. But yeah, then there's also broad subjects that overlap. How are you going to seal this drawing again?
I'm not going to probably on this one. I might spray fix it with Grumbacher spray fixative, but
Probably just let it sit for a while.
I'll let
and
it sit for a while and then I'll spray it if I need to.
What's your favorite mythical animal or beast?
Uh, I always liked the Minotaur. I always loved the Minotaur.
Zanji says apparently Russ Edmonds was the lead.
Russ Edmonds, thank you. I couldn't remember his name because he also did the dog and Little Mermaid, and I just could not remember Russ's name.
Darren on YouTube asks, have you ever done oil painting on glass?
No, I've seen it, but I've never done it.
And M asks, what is that stick you're using again?
A maul stick. It's just you can just get any. It's just basically anything. You can
You made that
use
yourself.
ruler. You can it's just anything you can rest against the top of your board, so that you can put your arm on it.
It's just keeping your hand off the.
Yeah, it's keeping my hand off the charcoal and keeping it all clean. Sharpen it again. Making a big mess on the floor here.
Jeez, some big bells and everything.
No, I just got to vacuum this
sure.
up. Yeah. Problem with the 4B pencil is that it's soft and it wears down fast. So I got to use that pencil sharpener about every minute. I'm going to let this kind of fade off. I'm going to render kind of the front end of the drawing here.
Someone says we were taught to preserve charcoal and pastel drawings with hairspray. I don't know if this is correct, but it works. You just need a few layers. Yeah, I was.
Yeah, it's just
was taught
it's
that
not
in
as
school, too.
yeah, we all did that. That's the first thing I did before I went to art school. My mother showed me how to do that. But yeah, I mean the professional quality is better. It's made for that.
Can you fix spray it and overdraw and then spray fix more like his other layers?
Yes.
They have some spray fixes that are specifically intended for that.
Yeah, it's called workable fix.
Yep.
Which I have. Oop,
So you get sharpening action.
Oops.
What do you think of the Bob Ross documentary on Netflix?
I haven't seen the documentary. I didn't know there was one.
Me neither.
That's been out for a little while.
Well, I didn't know it was there.
I think it's kind of about.
Actually, I think I have seen the series.
I think it's about the fallout between his business partners and his family, and kind of fighting over his.
Basically how corrupt everyone around him was.
Oh, I don't want to see that drama.
Rob Fiore asks, "Have you ever tried crystal clear spray?"
Oh yeah, but I don't do it. Hey, Rob Fiore, we went to college together. Hey, I crystal clear, unless it's a different Rob Fiore. Crystal clear is more acrylic. It doesn't work as well for this. I mean, it works good as a after like when you're done fixative, you can use it. But
It's him. He says, "Hey, bud."
yeah,
Hey there, bud.
yeah, hey man. But yeah, I don't use crystal clear. I'll use crystal clear on acrylic type stuff, but not for my drawings.
And old Kyle Webster is watching on YouTube, and he says, "Aaron, you do it all: digital, traditional, animation. See you at Lightbox this year."
Yes, you will see us at Lightbox. We will be there with bells on. I'm doing a couple of demonstrations, a couple of lectures.
We're gonna have a booth.
Yep, we're bringing lots of books, lots of drawings. I'm going to be drawing there. Maybe you can pick up some drawings while I'm drawing there.
Who knows on YouTube says, "I just got my art book that you signed live. I was lucky to get a signed copy. I can't put that book down. You're amazing."
Oh man, I'm glad. I'm glad you got one. Bison. We're getting there. We're getting there for sure. Boy, I'm making a mess. But that's the fun thing about drawing. You can really you can bring it in and bring it out, and thing keeps breaking. Actually, I'm gonna tape this down up here. No, I got it. Tape this right over here. Right there. That way I can see what's going on. What's going on? What's going on?
Kevin on Facebook asks, "Are you thinking of shapes when you shadow, or do you think of the eyes, nose, and horn, etc.?"
Both, actually. I'm thinking of the shapes that the abstract shapes that they're making, the light that the light's making. But I'm also thinking about the anatomy itself. And that's a good question, actually. Because a lot of times I'll look at, oh, there's an interesting shape that this shadow is making. I'm going to try to emulate that. And I really just focus on the shadow shape rather than the form that's making it. And then I'll jump back over to the, thinking about the form.
Twitch question: how well can you draw things like monsters, like Godzilla?
As well as I can probably do these, I guess. I've just given enough time to understand the makeup of those monsters. I can draw them.
You've done a bunch of dragons and stuff
Oh, yeah.
like that. Yeah,
I love doing fantasy type creatures, and it all comes from the same place. It's just different execution. This is, once again, this is a 4B Generals charcoal pencil. 4B, so it gets nice and dark. You can see there.
Nice and dirt.
Nice and dark.
Nice and dirt, dearie.
I'm trying really hard to be really kind of random with it, but at the same time, emulating the way the light is hitting on the fur. I'm not trying to copy exactly what's in my reference. I rarely do that. I'm just trying to get the same feel. When I was younger, I would try to copy, every square millimeter of what was in front of me and try to be a slave to what was there, and often not really understanding what was there and coming up with some weird looking art. But here, it's just trying to, when you do a lot of life drawing, the photo reference just becomes an aid. And I can manipulate it any way I want.
Your art is beautiful. What is this technique called?
Drawing.
Charcoal drawing.
It is charcoal drawing, yeah. But I mean, this at its basic form, this is just straight up drawing. I'm drawing with a charcoal pencil, and the thing I'm paying attention to is line, value, form, value being light, line being describing the contour being the form.
Andrea says that bison's starting to look better than the photo.
Who's looking forward to the new Andor series?
I am. Boy, I watched Rogue One last night.
I think it's the best Star Wars movie.
It is. It absolutely, hands down, without a doubt, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
And I, l- I love. Well, I don't want to spoil it for people that haven't seen it, but I love that they weren't afraid to let characters go.
Yep.
It really had true stakes.
Have you ever dabbled in comic books?
As far as making them, not really. No. I've thought about
We've talked about it.
doing it, but it's not quite my wheelhouse, and it's it's definitely something I think is cool. I've never gone there.
I think not in the immediate, but in the future, I can see a graphic novel. I think be a great way to get big stories out that don't take as long as animated features. You know.
It's not too much shorter than doing an animated feature, but yeah. It'd be fun. I've always wanted to do a graphic novel with an animal story. I have thought about that in the past.
What do you think about AI art like Mid-Journey?
I don't know what Mid Journey is. Oh, is that the app? The
It's
actual
the AI.
or the
Yes, the AI.
software?
Yeah.
Um,
It's the one I showed you the other day.
yeah.
Didn't do a great job if you put in the style of Aaron Blaze.
Well, I got to get to know me more. It is what it is. It's another tool, right? I do think obviously this is someone that came on new because we talked about it earlier, but I just think it's going to be it's just going to become another tool. It's going to be shiny and cool at first, and it'll find its niche. I don't think artists are ever going to go away.
Have you ever dabbled in Japanese style animation?
No, I have not. I've come to appreciate it, but I've never dabbled in it, never tried to emulate it. My style of animation is more the Disney style. That's how I was trained. I feel most comfortable there. I'd love to try different styles though. For sure.
How should animation be priced? For instance, how would you charge for 10 seconds of animation?
Usually charged by the foot. That's how I think it's still traditionally done. I'm not quite sure, but I'm pretty sure.
Depends on the level of
And
finish.
there's a lot of things that go into that factor into it. It's a level of finish. It's a number of drawings. It's you know, the complexity of the drawings. There's a lot of different things that factor in. And let's see here. See if I can down like that. So
I remember for commercial animation years ago, I used to hear a price range that was anywhere from $1,000 to $5,000 per finished second
yeah, that's
for like commercial production style stuff. You know.
well, I know Disney's finished animated movies works out to be about $1 million a minute. That's how much they cost.
Right.
When I was doing freelance animation 30 years ago, I was charging about $130 a foot, which every foot and a half is a second. So it's $130 for 2/3 of a second is what I used to charge. Gotta keep sharpening.
Aaron, how do you deal with difficult people at work or people who try to demotivate you in your career? Did you ever get so demotivated that you considered quitting art?
No, I just fire them. No, I didn't do that. Um, no, I've never. I don't worry about other people. If there's difficult people at work, I just don't deal with them. And I know my abilities. I know what I love. I love art. No one's ever going to change my mind about that. I've had people tell me my work sucks, and you just take it with a grain of salt and you move on. And sometimes they're right at the time, and sometimes they're not. And you just roll with it. It's just water off a duck's back, man. Um, and sometimes I'll just laugh at them. That really pisses them off. But but really, it just comes down to knowing what your value is, and uh, I'll never, no matter what how anybody ever critiques my work, it'll never change how I feel about creating art. So I can have 1,000 people tell me that my work sucks, but it's never going to change how I feel about making it. I'll always, always, always love making art. It's what I was born to do. Making art to me is like breathing. I can't
Uh,
not do it.
Switch question from Gwen wants to doodle. How do you how do you know when it's time to call it quits on a drawing and not add anything more to it? I feel like I have a too much gene and end up overworking drawings.
Yeah, I used to do that when I was younger. Nowadays, I kind of have a picture in my head of where I want it to go and what I want it to be, and then I just try to achieve that. I think a lot of people that go through that are people that have to render everything, that feel like everything has to be finished. And I've come to a point where I don't feel that way about my art. It doesn't, it's the style that I'm doing now. Like this, for example, I'm just gonna let this kind of fade out, and there's I want to get to the back of the head here, get through that, but beyond that, it's not important to me. And I think it's going to add to the art itself.
Someone said on YouTube, "Wow, $1 million a minute. That's crazy." But they're actually much more than that now.
Well, now they are, yeah. I mean, well, think of it this way. Brother Bear. When I made Brother Bear, I was given a budget of $90 million to make the movie, and the movie was 84 minutes long. So we brought it in under budget, actually.
pretty much the only film probably to ever be brought in under budget.
Yeah, yeah. We brought it in at 86 million, and we were given 90 to make it.
But now,
Oh, they're like a couple 100 million now.
yeah, I think they're like 250 million is
Yeah. So yeah, the idea of it being $1 million a minute that's me being old fashioned.
yeah, that's like, well, that's like, those animated films. They basically their budgets are the same as like the big Marvel productions or anything like that. I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
when you look at the
especially Pixar.
and it's all labor. I mean, it's all
It's
that
all
many,
labor. Yeah.
It's how many people are involved in making those movies. People don't realize when you watch the credits at the end of an animated film or a big big special effects style film.
Yeah, any Marvel film.
Yeah, those credits just roll for forever.
It's a town. It's a small town of people make
Yeah.
those movies.
It's thousands of people involved,
Yeah.
all working generally full time.
When we were making Brother Bear, we were burning about almost $1 million a week. About just under $900,000 a week, just in salaries. So you really need to be frugal and smart with where you're putting the money. And that was a big part of our job.
Art with Naveen on YouTube asks, "How much sleep do you get in a day? Do you take breaks to watch a movie when you're busy? Are you an early bird?"
I I go to bed usually between 11:30 and 12:30. I'll watch about 2 hours of TV um, before I go to bed. Once I'm in bed, I'm usually asleep within 20 minutes, and I get up at 6:10 every morning. So I get about 6 hours of sleep, and
It's one of the
and it
advantages.
feels pretty. I mean, I
It's
don't
one of
feel.
the advantages of the girls being back in school is you get up early, and then once you're up, you're up.
Yeah, exactly. And if I feel, if I feel like I need some extra sleep after I bring the kids to school, then I'll lay back down until like 8:30. But that doesn't happen very often. So I'm just gonna start letting this fade out.
Leandro asks, when you used to freelance, what kind of animation job were you doing? Can you give some examples?
Yeah, I was doing commercial stuff. I was doing Marsupilami, which was an old Disney. It's an old French cartoon, really.
It's a French comic
But
book,
Disney, yeah, a French comic book. But Disney picked it up back in the '90s for Disney
Disney Afternoon, right?
Disney Afternoon, yeah. And so I was doing Marsupilami animation, and then over the years I've picked up, Purina cat chow, Purina dog chow commercials, and we worked on this wasn't freelance. We actually did this in the studio. We worked on Kellogg's commercials and all kinds of stuff.
When you did the video games, the Aladdin and Lion King video games, the
Yeah.
16-bit ones, were those freelance?
No, those were that was kind of a synergistic kind of partnership between animation and the video game division where we were kind of in downtime. They wanted good animation, so it worked out.
Yeah, for those people who don't know, Aaron animated the characters, the playable characters
Yeah.
in the Lion King video game and the Aladdin video game.
Yeah, back in 95 or 96 or whenever that was.
We should do a live stream where you play those games one day.
Oh my God.
It'd be fun. We don't have to do it like for hours.
I'm not a gamer, for those of you that are wondering.
That's why it'd be fun.
Yeah,
Plus, those games are hard.
that's what I've heard. I've heard they're really hard.
Let's see. I just had a question. I lost it. It scrolled away. I gotta find it. Sorry.
So I'm just getting a little looser now with it. Love doing these big drawings.
Someone says, I wonder if the Kellogg's commercial that played in Brazil was done by Aaron. They were great quality.
Oh, it's Snap, Crackle, and Pop. Is that Kellogg's?
Might be Post.
Yeah, I can't remember. That's who it was Snap, Crackle, Pop.
Oh, that's cool. We should see if we can find which commercial it was.
Oh, geez. I have no clue. This would have been back in like 96.
Ton of those commercials, old school commercials, have all been uploaded to YouTube. I bet you we could find it.
So I just want to get his beard down here. Actually, I can just do it without the maul stick.
Oh, here it is. Do you have any hacks or tips on how to judge your own art like you're looking at it from new eyes?
Yes, look at it in a mirror. If you're doing digital art, flop it. That's the absolute best thing you can do. Turn it around backwards and look at it. You'll see it completely different, and it'll look like it's a piece of crap. And you'll really learn how to work around that. That was one of the biggest discoveries I made when I was a kid. I was doing a piece of art and I couldn't back up far enough. I used to back way up away from it to miniaturize it and see what it would look like, to see what's wrong with it. And I remember I was doing art in my room and I couldn't get far enough back. We lived in a little trailer. So I went into the bathroom and I looked at it in the mirror to double the distance. And all of a sudden I saw all these things wrong with it because it was reversed. And then when I went to college, I discovered that that's actually something that artists do. I just happened to discover it on my own. But yeah, that's one of the best things you can do to see your art through new eyes is look at it completely reversed. I'll even do that with my animation because in TV Paint you can flop your animation, and I'll flop it to see what it looks like.
I'm sure you've gotten this a million times, but how do you avoid burnout? I feel like I start a project and I can't do anything else until it's finished.
Um,
It's almost the opposite of burnout. That sounds like
yeah, that's the opposite of burnout. I was going to say I don't think that's burnout. Uh, first of all, I don't get burned out. I'll take a vacation and take a break here and there, but I never get sick of creating art. You know, we've been doing Snow Bear, trying to get Snow Bear done for 6 years, but I still lay in bed and only think about Snow Bear. It's just something I want to get done. And so, you know,
for those people that might not know, Snow Bear is our animated short that we've the idea we've been kicking around for about 6 years, but you've now been in production on it for about 2.5 months.
yeah, exactly. I started it about mid-July. I'm just gonna kind of let this.
Who are some of your favorite painters?
Sargent is probably one of my favorites. Anders Zorn. Zorn and Sargent are two of my favorites. Wyeth, both NC Wyeth, Andrew Wyeth. Norman Rockwell. I consider him a painter, not just an illustrator.
What do you think of the late great Don Rickles? Any thoughts?
I love the guy. I love him. He came from an era where we could be harsh with each other and not be offended by it. I brought that up with my stepdaughters last night about how easily offended they are. And they got offended by that. They did.
Do you feel the necessity to limit your animation due to limited schedule and budget? How do you deal with that?
No, because the way we're doing ours is, I mean, we're doing it within our means. So I don't see that as a limitation. I see that as, you know, it breeds creativity, I think. You know, because we are such a small group, because I'm the only animator in our group, and you know, different ideas like that, we created a simpler story. But simple doesn't mean less. Matter of fact, I'm really proud of this story. I think we're going to have something really strong.
It also kind of goes down to what they call the work triangle. There's picture a triangle, and at the sides of the triangle are three things: cheap, fast, and good, right?
Yeah.
And the old saying is you can pick any two that you want.
Right.
So in our case, to control the budget, well, we're going to take our time with it. You know,
So it's not going to be fast.
It's not going to be fast, but it's going to be good and take a while. If you want it to be good and fast, then it ain't going to be cheap. So,
Because then you got to get people on board.
yeah, exactly. So that's true of pretty much anything, whether it be art or
Building,
or carpentry, any of those things.
Yep, exactly.
I want to let people know that might have joined late that we're running a big sale over at Creature Art Teacher. Right now, through Monday, if you use promo code 5-SAVE, you can get any course on the website for just $5. That's any course, brush set, or photo pack. There's a limit to the number of times you can use that code as an individual. So if you've already used it, everything else on the site is 40% off as part of our back to school sale. So everything on the website is 40% off or more, Dustin, if you want to throw up the back to school one.
Oh, yes.
And that's also all the brushes, courses, all that stuff. So if you've already used that $5 sale. And if you're a teacher or student, our memberships are on sale. Those are $150 off if you're a teacher or student. So head on over to creatureartteacher.com and check those out.
$150 off, huh? Holy moly.
Holy moly.
If you're a teacher
Holy
or student.
cannoli!
I'm getting a bit looser with the drawing as I work my way away from our main focus.
Buffalo, 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 buffalo.
Yes, it is.
The gr-
Buffalo.
That's a grammatically correct sentence.
Yeah.
Because buffalo is a place, it's a place, an adjective, a verb.
So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my white pencil, my white General's charcoal pencil.
Do you like fantasy art?
Sure. Sure. Actually, I want to do one more thing before I go to the white. I like good fantasy art. Almost use this pencil up on this drawing. One pencil.
Alexi asks, can you please give some advice on which course on your site would be the best to start with as a beginner?
Well, it depends on what you're looking to do. If you, but I always recommend starting with, anatomy, human anatomy. There's Ronnie Williford has a good drawing course. As a
Drawing basics.
exactly. But those are two good ones to start with, and then I would go into a character design. I think is a good one because it's not just character design. I mean, it talks about design in general. And I think you'd learn something out of that. But definitely an introduction to drawing with Ronnie Williford and I need my ball stick. And in the human anatomy course.
Depending on your age too, if you've got a younger learner, Tim Hodge has some great courses drawing as well, drawing cartoon characters and cartoon animals and stuff like that. If you just want to kind of develop those, I mean, they're good for anybody, but they're sort of aimed at younger learners. Those are good as well. Do you have any video tutorials on timing and spacing? That is one of my biggest problems.
Well, I do touch on it in my animation course. I don't have anything specific on that.
Well, you have a video in that course on timing and spacing.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't have a course specific to it.
And actually, you can get that animation course for $5 if you use that promo code.
Yeah, that's true. So with the white, you want to be tasteful. You don't want to overuse it. In this case, the bison is, mostly dark, right? So I want to just make sure I'm hitting some of this texture on the horn tastefully.
Will Vedanta be at the workshop?
In Wyoming?
The one that's going to happen here in November.
Oh yeah, Vedanta's going to be cooking for everybody.
That's going to be a lot of cooking.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Have you ever drawn on black paper?
Yes. It's fun. And you got to think in reverse.
Do you ever do colored paintings like oil or acrylic, etc.?
On black paper?
No, just this is a separate question.
Oh, just in general?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I've got courses on how to do that. Very much. Lots and lots of oil and acrylic and watercolor. Like Nick was saying, you can get any of those courses. I've got a course on watercolor painting, course on oil painting. You can pick those up for $5. TheCreatureArtTeacher.com.
I just posted a link in the comments.
So the other thing I can do with this is just add little bits of hair texture. I don't need a lot. Just a little bit here and there where the light's hitting.
First time commenter on Twitch says, it's good that you're drawing a normal bison. Drawing a white bison would be much more difficult for the shading.
It actually wouldn't. It's just a different way of thinking.
Yeah, you've drawn white furred animals many times.
Oh yeah, many, many times. You know, it's just different thinking. Oh, one of the things I've just discovered. Oh, don't want to do that. That picks up the charcoal. Ah, I don't like it. Oh, that was the hard pencil. Maybe I could kind of smudge it together with that foam brush, but all it does is pick up the charcoal. So I use my finger. That's the other thing. When you do this kind of stuff, wash your hands before you start. You don't want any kind of finger oil or grease or anything like that in there, because it'll mess up the. It's like getting oil on your shirt.
Yeah, one of our newest classes that's out is from Jenny Medved, and she does a painting course, and she talks about that as well. And she'll even wear gloves sometimes.
Yeah.
Just to avoid that. Those oils have a habit that sometimes you don't even know are there. They'll
touch your nose, you touch your forehead.
Yeah,
whatever.
they'll start finding their ways bleeding through your paint.
Now, I'm thinking, just to get it to pop, I want to try something. I'm gonna try something like I did with the wool.
Let me try something.
I want to try something. It's gonna run a bit, but I'm keeping it purposely loose. Just stylistically, I want to go that route. Keep it quick. Keeping it quick.
What are you using for the white again?
This is Conte, white Conte. It's like a piece of chalk almost. pastel. It's sort of like pastel. It's a stick. Okay.
Oh yeah, I flipped it when I was zooming so you can see her. Flip back to Any advice on drawing or painting feathers?
Yeah, it's sort of like hair. Well, it depends on what kind of drawing and painting you want to do. But don't get caught up in having to paint every feather on a bird. Think about the masses, think about the light, form, all of that. So in the same way that, you might think about drawing hair, you don't have to draw every hair. You think about the masses that the hair makes. And it's the same with feathers.
Is this paper newspaper, and will it get preserved?
Nah, well, it's not going to preserve very well. This kind of paper is very acidic. This is a very cheap paper that I'm using.
Super cheapo.
Super cheap. This is just Home Depot painter's paper, construction paper. You just basically put it down when you're painting a room or whatever. You don't want it to get on the floor or you walk on it. But it takes charcoal really well, so I love drawing on it.
Pixie Dust on Twitch asks, where'd it go? It's gold. Sorry. What do you think of the golden ratio? I saw it in a video once, and now I can't unsee it.
Yeah, the golden ratio is just something our brain automatically. Someone basically just broke down what our brain reacts to, and it came up with the golden ratio.
You did a video on the golden ratio, actually. It's
Yeah,
one of our more popular videos.
Actually, I got slammed in part of the video because I changed the ratio, but I changed everything to fit whatever format that I was hitting, and it still works. So, that's something I discovered on my own through composition, is that you can take all the same kind of measurements and change them to any dimension proportionately, and it'll still work.
Ryan asks, what happened when paper ages? Does the drawing fade?
No, not necessarily. Like the charcoal won't fade. The paper, the paper is the surface. It
depends on the paper. Like a cheap newsprint will start to yellow.
Yeah, the newsprint will, but like the charcoal will always be charcoal.
Right, that's what I mean.
So it's whatever's under it is going to change. So the drawing itself might change, but it's because of the paper fading or yellowing or turning brown or whatever it might be.
If you worked on Alice in Wonderland in the 1951 movie, what character would you have wanted to animate?
Oh, that's a good question. Wow, so much of that was like Ward Kimball style, Probably the Queen of Hearts. I think she would have been a lot of fun.
When animating a character's face, have you ever implemented the facial tics or movements of the voice actor?
Not really. I'll go to a recording session with the voice actor. I did that.
I feel like there's a bit of George Takei in the Ancestor Ghost that you did.
It might just be because of the voice itself, because I really didn't look at George Takei when I was doing it, but I was definitely trying to be kind of regal with it.
Maybe it's just he's naturally regal, and that's why it reminds me of it.
Yeah. There. Now what I'm going to do is take a clean paper towel.
Is it okay to use rulers and other geometric tools for measuring proportions?
Why not? Of course. Absolutely. Absolutely. You do whatever you want. There's no rules.
No rules, just right. Oh, we're going out back. Are you guys following House of the Dragon and Rings of Power?
Yes, both of them. I like Rings of Power better.
So far, I do too.
I've been following Rings of Power.
But you never watched Game of Thrones?
No.
It's a great show. You missed out.
Oh yeah.
One of the best shows ever made.
I'm just over the gratuitous sex and violence, and I don't mind all that kind of stuff when it's called for in the story, but just feels like they just do it to do it, because that's what people come to expect in that series. Want to lighten it up behind him a little bit. Now, what happened? What would it look like if I just gave it a nice
Did you work on the character Kovu?
Kovu? I don't know who Kovu is. No, I didn't. I don't know who Kovu is.
Kovu's in one of the it's a Lion King sequel. Lion King 2.
Oh. No, I only worked on the first Lion King.
And speaking of, do you know who animated Rafiki and Zazu?
Yep. Well, Rafiki was done by James
Baxter.
Thank you. And then Zazu was what's her name? Come on. We were just talking about her the other day.
You said it before, right?
Yeah. Oh my God. What's wrong with my brain?
Ellen Woodbury?
Ellen Woodbury. Thank you. She's actually doing a kind of abstract wildlife sculpture now. Really cool. Yeah, Ellen and I have shown and done shows together with the Society of Animal Artists, back when I was part of the Society of Animal Artists. I'm just kind of experimenting. What happens if I put a white holding line on it? Kind of looks neat.
Are you drawing on an easel or a drawing table?
It's a table.
It's a table that just can angle up like an easel. It's a really cool table, actually.
There it is. Signed. Done. No more one more things. Actually, I haven't even stood up from it yet.
Very
Hey.
nice. Looks gorgeous.
Yeah, that's not so bad. That was fun to draw. That was a lot of fun to draw, actually.
Zoom and pan on it.
Yeah, look at my hands.
Face there.
Yeah, so I mean, look how big this is. I mean, there's no reason why you can't do something, get in there and get dirty. We did this, I don't know how long we've been here, 2.5 hours?
Give or take.
What time is it?
It is 3:07.
Yeah, 2 hours. This
2
is
hours.
2 hours worth of drawing. So you can do a lot in 2 hours. What do I do with my eraser?
I'm sure a lot of people will be asking, how'd you draw that so fast?
Oh, one more thing.
One more
Get
thing.
rid of the mark that the maul stick, because the maul stick is sitting on the edge of the.
Oh, I thought it was that edge of the table.
Yeah, it is. That's the edge of the table, and it makes a mark where the maul stick sits. I'm just erasing that.
It's one more thing. It's not what he wants to do.
Yeah.
It's after the signature. It's that one, right?
Yeah,
There's
because it was making a
always
gray
one more
line.
thing. Always.
Giant drawings. Giant drawings are fun. Giant drawings are fun. Actually, I do have one more thing. I just looked at it. You probably can't see it from there, but I want to. Put some white over there just to balance it. There we go.
Beauty.
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 Bow, bow, bow.
Well, are we wrapping up?
Yeah.
Let's wrap it up, people.
So there you go. There is our 2-hour bison done on giant paper.
Giant.
I recommend doing this. Go to go to the store, go to the paint department at Lowe's or whatever hardware store and pick up a giant roll of brown paper and just set it up. And the great thing about it is that you can mess it up and it doesn't matter. It's really easy paper to deal with, and you can have a lot of fun with it. My friend Ronnie Williford, he calls it angry drawing. You can get in there and just get crazy with it and have fun. Or you can do, kind of fun, sensitive, explore, experiment, do whatever. So get some charcoal and try it. So keep in mind, we've got a couple things going on. We've got our workshop that's coming up on November 7th through the 10th. Our painting workshop, our live painting workshop, where you can come out and come to Florida and camp with us. And we're going to paint for 4 days. And it's going to be a lot of fun, Ronnie Williford and myself. And then we've also got the $5 course deal going on where you can come in and buy anything and buy another course for $5. It's a really good savings. A lot of people have been picking up on that. But go to creatureartteacher.com/camp and you can check out more about our big live event. We're cooking for you. We're going to have campfires every night. It's going to be a really cool experience. I'm really looking forward to it. And it's literally right in my backyard out in the wildlife refuge. So that's going to be really cool. And then also next week, I'm going to be gone. So my wife Vedanta and I are leaving tomorrow. And so there's no live streams at all next week. So that includes our members live stream. And that's the other thing too, real quick. We've been making Snow Bear for the last couple of months, and we're going to be making it for another 9 months or 10 months. And if you want to watch us do that several times a week and have access to all of our education, over 600 hours of education on our website, then become a member over at creatureartteacher.com, and you'll be able to tune in and watch us make this production as well. So that's going to be a lot of fun.
The membership gets you everything on the site that we have available, plus everything we release over the next year. It really is the best value in art education.
And if you're interested in TV Paint animation software, it gets you a huge discount on that as well. But anyway, like I said, we're not going to be around next week, so it's going to be a 2 weeks before we get to see you guys again. But I hope you enjoyed today. It was a lot of fun drawing for you, and go on out and have a safe weekend, have a safe week ahead of you. Put some beauty back into the world, because that's what we do as artists. And I will see you when I get back. Talk to you later, guys. Thank you.
Yeah. Cowboy Bebop.
And if you want to learn more about our camping trip, stick around. We've got a special message.
Hey everybody, Aaron Blaze here, along with Ronnie Williford, and we are at Wekiva Springs State Park here in Florida. And we're really excited to announce that we have an upcoming workshop, a watercolor workshop that we want to do in November. So November 7th through the 10th, we're going to have a group of people here, and Ronnie and I, just like we did in England a couple of years ago, we did in Sarasota right after that, we're going to get a group together and we're going to do some plein air watercolor painting for 4 days. It's going to be a blast. Some of the things we're going to teach, Ronnie might want to talk to you about a little bit.
Well, for anyone who hasn't had the opportunity to join us before, if you were a beginner, this will be the perfect time to come, because we're going to be teaching, for beginners as well as anyone who's working intermediately. I've got some extra stuff for this workshop that I would like to talk about and teach.
You got ants on you.
Do I?
Yeah, there you go.
I-
Keep talking. We're in Florida.
I'm covered in relatives. This area here is one of the most beautiful places we've ever had the opportunity to teach in, because this is our backyard. Florida is an incredibly lovely place to paint with lots of green, and but
It's definitely going to be a lesson in green for
yeah,
sure. Yeah.
but it's not all green. It's a great opportunity to spend some time being in a green environment and learning how to work in other colors and things like that too. So it's going to be a really fun time.
Yeah, the whole plein air experience is a lot of fun. A lot of people don't have that opportunity to do that. They paint in their studio, they paint from photographs, they paint from their computer screen. But here we're going to be painting this scenery right here, what you see, plus the forest that's around here. There's also several springs that are nearby that are absolutely beautiful that we're going to go and paint at. Plus, like we mentioned earlier, there's tons of wildlife here. There's deer, there's bears, there's all kinds of cool stuff that we might see along the way.
You might see a gator.
Yeah, maybe.
It could happen.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Now, some of the accommodations are really cool. We're actually staying at a camp here in Wekiva Springs. We're going to be staying in these awesome cabins out here with a beautiful fire pit right in the middle of this circle. And every night we'll be able to get together, hang out. It's going to be awesome. And as far as the weather goes, right now we're shooting in August. It's really warm. You might see that we're soaking through.
Yeah.
But by November, it should be nice and cool. We'll have some nice evenings.
And what watercolor workshop wouldn't be complete without a pool? We don't even need to provide our own water. We've got water we can paint from right out of here.
As far as accommodations go, first of all, you just have to get yourselves here. Get yourselves to the park, get yourselves to the campsite, and we're going to take care of everything else. We've got food provided. Keep in mind also that this is cabin camping. It's kind of like I said, it's a camp. So some of the cabins have multiple bunks. Some of them have 8 bunks, some of them have 4 bunks. But either way, it's going to be a group of artists all together, and we're hanging out and painting together. It's going to be a lot of fun. Some more of the schedule will include, basically we'll get up in the morning, we'll have breakfast, we'll go out and do morning paintings, we'll come back, have lunch, maybe some afternoon lectures, then go back out again and paint some more. In the evening, we'll have fires, we'll have more lectures. And then maybe a couple of little drinks, have some snacks, we'll have a good time. S'mores, what the heck. And then obviously we'll get some sleep so that we can do it again the next day. It's going to be a lot of fun.
And if weather permits it, I might do a demo showing nighttime painting and how you go about doing a painting out in the wilds in the evening.
That's really cool, and it's going to be a lot of fun for that. So remember, November 7th through the 10th here in Wekiva Springs, Florida, we're going to be camping out, we're going to be painting, it's going to be awesome. So go on out, put some beauty back into the world, and we'll talk to you next time.
Look forward to it.